Gaurav, I'm not sure if you can see these images live because you're outside the hotel, but, the Prime Minister along with Elisabeth Borne getting that, tri-service guard of honor, absolutely wonderful, privilege being extended to the Prime Minister. Very, very symbolic of the relationship and how substantive the rest of these 2 days is going to look like, Gaurav.
Shiv, every aspect of this visit, it's huge on symbolism and it's huge on the substantive outcomes that are expected. On symbolism, the fact that the Prime Minister of France went to the airport to receive Prime Minister Narendra Modi, it sends out a signal. That's point one. Point two, the French President on Bastille Day invites Prime Minister Narendra Modi as the guest of honor. Bastille Day is all about liberty and peace and democracy in France. India is the largest democracy in the world. So it sends out a very powerful signal to the entire world when the leader of the democratic, the world's largest democracy is invited on Bastille Day. These are the symbolism. Then the dinner at Louvre. Now, while there have been private dinners at Louvre, the world's most visited museum, France boasts of more than 3 lakh artifacts. Lakhs and lakhs of visitors visit the Louvre every year, but this year, tomorrow on the Bastille Day, Louvre would be shut because the French President would be showing Prime Minister Narendra Modi around some of the most chosen artifacts there at the museum that he wants to showcase to the Prime Minister of India. So that would be a private tour for the Prime Minister, and then a state dinner, a state banquet at the Louvre on the 14th of July on Bastille Day. That again, the French media is talking about it very extensively, saying this is a huge signal that France is sending out not just to India but to the rest of the world. Again, 2 very powerful democracies, and Shiv, as you well know, both not aligned to any pole, very independent. Yes, France is a part of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, but do remember in 1998 when the Pokhran test happened and when sanctions were imposed on India, France did not impose sanctions on India. Then President Jacques Chirac had taken a completely different view. That completely different view stays till now and is only being strengthened. So Shiv, this is where these 2 countries are very big on symbolism on Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit on the silver jubilee of that relationship, where they'll actually come out with a roadmap, Shiv, of the next 25 years, how this relationship should be taken forward.
And Gaurav, it's interesting that you mentioned the nuclear aspect, because we understand that there could be a nuclear element to some of the announcements being made between India and France. The Jaitapur nuclear plant in India is likely to see an infusion of French technology. And also, as you know, Gaurav, just a couple of hours ago, the Indian Defence Ministry cleared those deals that you had actually broken the news about. The Rafale deal, the Scorpion submarine deal, all those have been cleared now by the Defence Ministry. So the Indian and French leadership will now make that announcement either today or tomorrow at some point.
Shiv, we do expect forward movement on both, these huge agreements that you and I have been discussing on India Today for the past several days. Whether it's the 26 Rafale Marines, the Shakti engines, the helicopter engines to be manufactured in India, or moving forward on the 3 Scorpion submarines. But Shiv, there will be a lot more that will be announced. I spoke to some of the CEOs who would be at the CEO forum, and Shiv, very, very critical when they talk about clean energy. There would be a big push in renewable energy, in clean energy, investments to be made there. And Shiv, one aspect that India and France are talking about very extensively now is not just immediate acquisition for the current situation, but how do you take this relationship forward and cement it? You do it when you work together, when you think together, when your thinking is aligned. So that is where there should be forward movement on intellectuals and academics coming together. So our students studying in universities here and studying high-end technology, in critical and emerging technologies, not restricted to military hardware, but in several other aspects. So all of this on the table, and there would be forward movement in many of these on these aspects. Whether it's locomotive manufacturing, how do you scale that up? A lot of this conversation, Shiv, will also be about ties that are there, deals that are there, but how do you scale up manufacturing? How do you scale up investment? How do you scale up this relationship? So scaling up would be a very important aspect that would emerge in the talks that happen both today and tomorrow.
Okay.